Welcome to Serving with Success, Offer versus Serve. Offer versus serve is a concept that applies to menu planning in the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program, and allows students to decline some food components or items that are offered to them. The goal of Offer versus Serve is to reduce food waste in the school meal programs while permitting students to choose the foods they want to eat. In this module, participants will learn that appropriate food production is prepared to assure the necessary components and items in Offer versus Serve for reimbursable meals, how to accurately recognize a reimbursable meal, including proper components and items and appropriate quantities at point of service, to communicate to students how to select a reimbursable meal. LEAs that implement Offer versus Serve must ensure that menu planners provide adequate amounts of all food components so that schools prepare and offer enough food to meet meal pattern requirements. Students must be able to identify necessary items to complete a reimbursable meal. Signage and menus should provide clear information about allowable choices. Point-of-service staff must be trained to take Offer versus Serve into account when determining whether a student has selected the necessary items to make a reimbursable meal.
You're going to have a trained person at the POS to make sure that is a reimbursable meal, because every tray has the potential to look a little bit different, so you have to have a keen eye watching the kids as they come through.
Key elements of Offer versus Serve are the student's option to decline items, and if a student declines items, the price for a reimbursable meal is the same. The full amount of each component must be available for each student to choose, from the first student in the serving line to the last. Meals served at alternate meal service locations, a classroom for example, must meet Offer versus Serve requirements if applicable. Offer versus Serve is optional for lunches consumed off-site, such as field trips. Offer versus Serve is only required for grades 9 through 12 in the National School Lunch Program. It is optional for lower grades in the National School Lunch Program. And it is optional for the School Breakfast Program at all grade levels. Students must be offered all 5 required components for lunch: meat, meat alternate, fruit, vegetable, grains, and milk. Students are allowed to decline 2 of the 5 required food components.
Offer versus Serve allows the child to pick 3 of those 5 items and still have a reimbursable meal. But the caveat for that is you have to make sure one of those 3 items is either half a cup fruit or half a cup vegetable.
Offer versus Serve allows students to take smaller portions of the fruit and vegetable components. If a student selects less than the offered portion of meat, meat alternate, or grains, it does not count as one of the minimum 3 required components at lunch. Although students may take smaller portions of the fruit and vegetable, they must have 1/2 cup of either the fruit or vegetable component, or a 1/4 cup each of both the fruit and vegetable components, as one of the 3 components on the tray in order to count as a reimbursable meal for lunch. If the 1/2 cup of fruit or vegetables, or the 1/4 cup each of both the fruit and vegetables is selected, the other 2 components selected must be in full quantities. In Offer versus Serve for breakfast, the LEA must offer 4 items from the 3 food components, and students may decline 1 of those items: grains and/or optional credited meat, meat alternates, fruit or vegetable substitutions, and milk. Under Offer versus Serve, the student must select 3 food items. 1 cup of fruit must be offered. However, at least 1/2 cup of fruit or vegetables must be taken to have a reimbursable breakfast. The menu planner may offer the grains component in 1 or more different food items. If offered in 2 or more food items, Training and signage should be available so that food service staff and students know what choices constitute a reimbursable breakfast. In addition, the menu planner determines how many foods must be selected in order to make a reimbursable meal.
Say you have a 2-ounce equivalent of grain, which it can be a muffin. That counts as 2 meal items for offer versus serve. So by a child taking that 2-ounce muffin, they now have 2 out of the 3 items that is required, so they only need to grab a juice or a fruit to be in compliance. It's a little bit different from lunch because for lunch you have the 5 items have to be offered, only 3 have to be taken. For breakfast you have to offer 4 items and 3 have to be taken. So it is a little bit different.
Meat alternates may be offered to meet the grains component. There is no separate requirement to offer the meat alternate in the breakfast meal pattern. However, menu planners have 2 options for including meat alternates in breakfast. 1. A school may offer meat alternates in place of grains after the minimum daily grains requirement is offered. 2. A school may offer meat alternates as an extra food and not credit it toward any component. A 1-ounce equivalent of meat alternates may count as 1-ounce equivalent of grains for purposes of meeting the weekly grains component requirement. Food items may be offered as an extra and not count toward meeting the requirement of 4 items offered. However, they must be counted toward the weekly dietary specifications. Offer versus serve compliance is based on the school offering the appropriate food component items on all reimbursable meal service lines, students selecting at least 3 food components in the proper quantities to make up a reimbursable meal, and food service staff members at the point of service who are trained and accurately recognize a reimbursable meal, including appropriate quantities.
You can go.
Signage should be posted on the service line to assist students in identifying a reimbursable meal. Signage is not required for field trips, breakfast in the classroom, and other venues where signage may be problematic. However, other methods should be used to inform students what choices they have. Now that you have finished viewing Offer versus Serve, complete the following brief quiz.